Hello, welcome to a reading comprehension quiz based on our book that we're reading in class for fun. It's Matilda by Roald Dahl. So let's see how many of the questions you'll get right. Here's the first extract that we're going to look at. This is where we're introduced to Matilda. You can pause the video and read it yourself, or you can listen to me. Matilda was both of these things, but above all she was brilliant. Her mind was so nimble, and she was so quick to learn, that her ability should have been obvious even to the most half-witted of parents. But Mr. and Mrs. Wormwood were both so gormless and so wrapped up in their own silly little lives that they failed to notice anything unusual about their daughter. Let's look at what question 1 asks us. How are Mr. and Mrs. Wormwood described? This is a retrieval question, so we need to find it and underline it. The key words in the question are Mr. and Mrs. Wormwood. When we find those words and then read on, we might find an adjective to find how they are described. So, is it mean, gormless, nimble, or brilliant? Can you find it? It's not mean, or nimble, or brilliant. They're described as gormless. There it is underlined, gormless. Question 2. What does the word obvious mean? It's used in this extract. There it is underlined, obvious. Does obvious mean able, special, clear, or naughty? You can always pause the video and have a little bit of thinking time. The answer is clear. Well done. If something's very obvious, it's very clear to you. Question 3. What was Matilda fast at? Have a look in the text. Was she very fast at swimming, learning, dancing, or running? Not swimming, not dancing, and not running. She was very fast at learning. She might have been fast at the other things, but the text tells us she was quick to learn. Well done. Question 4. This time, the question is asking us what we think. So we can use the text as a guide to help us, but we won't have to underline it and find the answer. How do you think Matilda feels about her parents? Do you think she feels that she loves them very much? She hated them? Or she loved them but was sad and angry that they didn't notice her? Now you could argue it's all of them, but look at the text, the extract. What does it suggest? It's not that she loves them very much. She might do, but there's other feelings there too. And she didn't just hate them. She loved them, but was sad and angry that they didn't notice her. Look at this part of the text. They failed to notice anything unusual about their daughter. Let's look at the next extract now. This is a great bit of the book where Matilda starts to visit the library and meets Mrs. Phelps. Don't forget, pause the video and have a read of this yourself, or you can read along with me. Matilda set out all by herself to walk to the public library in the village. When she arrived, she introduced herself to the librarian, Mrs. Phelps. She asked if she might sit a while and read a book. Mrs. Phelps, slightly taken aback at the arrival of such a tiny girl, unaccompanied by a parent, nevertheless told her she was very welcome. "Where are the children's books, please?" Matilda asked. "They're over there on those lower shelves," Mrs. Phelps told her. "Would you like me to help you find a nice one with lots of pictures in it?" "No, thank you," Matilda said. "I'm sure I can manage." So, question 5. Where were the children's books? So this is a find it and retrieve question. Were the children's books in the library? Were they on the top shelves, on the lower shelves, or in the bedroom? Well, they were in the library, but where in the library? And they weren't in a bedroom, were they? So is it top or bottom shelves? Will you get there faster than me? Well done, it's the lower shelves. So the key word in the question was children's books. There it is. Keep reading on, and it says they are on those lower shelves. Well done. Question 6. What does Matilda want to do in the library? Does she want to walk to the library? Talk to Mrs. Phelps? Sit a while and read? Or see a friend? Don't forget to look in the text for the answer. It's not walk to the library, or talk to Mrs. Phelps, or see a friend. Well done if you said sit a while and read. She asked if she might sit a while and read a book. Great job, everyone. Now comes our final extract for the quiz. I love this bit. This is the part where Matilda gets her own back on her horrible father, Mr. Wormwood. She squirts glue all on the inside of his hat. And of course it gets stuck to teach him a lesson. Mrs. Wormwood wants to take it off. Let's read what happens. Or you can pause the video and read it yourself. When he got home that evening, he still couldn't get the hat off. "Don't be silly," his wife said. "Come here, I'll take it off for you." She gave the hat a sharp yank. Mr. Wormwood let out a yell that rattled the window panes. "Ow!" he screamed. "Don't do that. Let go. You'll take half the skin off my forehead." Matilda, nestling in her usual chair, was watching this performance over the rim of her book with some interest. "What's the matter, Daddy?" she said. "Has your head suddenly swollen or something?" The father glared at his daughter with deep suspicion, but said nothing. How could he? Mrs. Wormwood said to him. Question 7. Why didn't Mr. Wormwood want his wife to pull the hat? Now don't make up an answer. What's in the text? Is it because it was stuck? Is it because Matilda was watching? Or because it would take the skin off his head? Now you could argue it was all of them, but what's in the text? It's not because it was stuck or that Matilda was watching. The answer is given in the text that he says, "Don't do that. Let go. You'll take half the skin off my forehead." It has to be what's exactly in the text. Question 8, our last question, is a what do you think question. Why do you think Mr. Wormwood looked at Matilda with suspicion? Let's have a closer look at how that word is used. The father glared at his daughter with deep suspicion. So what does suspicion mean? Why do you think he looked at her like that? Is it because he didn't like her very much? Is it because he thinks she did it because they had an argument the day before? Or that he wanted to shout at her because he's cross? You could argue it was all of those things. But it was the suspicion that was important. He certainly didn't like her very much. But did it cause the suspicion? And it wasn't because he wanted to shout at her because he was cross. It was that suspicion. He thinks she did it because of the argument the night before. Well done if you got that tricky one right. So, how many questions did you get right? I bet you beat me to some of those answers. So look out for part 2 soon of our Reading for Pleasure quiz and Matilda. See you soon.